crypto, politics, tech, and more. Get your daily news fix with News Source Scrawlers, April 25th, 2020. Crypto, politics, tech, and more. Get your daily news fix with crypto, politics, tech, and more. Get your daily news fix with News Source Scrawlers, April 25th, 2025 edition. Number 1 hit and more. YouTube Music Charts. Global Top Songs, April 11th to April 17th, 2025. Die with a Smile, Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars. APT, Rose and Bruno Mars. El Mayor de los Ranas, Victor Valverde and J.R. Torres. Paso Bame Solto Slowed, ATLXS. Spotify Weekly Top Songs Global. From the Friday, April 11th to Thursday, April 17th, 2025. Die with a Smile, Lady Gaga, Bruno Mars. Birds of a Feather, Billie Eilish. Ordinary, Alex Warren. APT, Rose, Bruno Mars. Nintendo US Digital Bestsellers, from April 21st, 2025. Minecraft, Hades. NBA 2K25. Overcooked. 2. Steam's Hottest Games. Global top selling and top played games across Steam. From the top 100 products by revenue list, for Tuesday, April 1st, 2025 to Tuesday, April 8th, 2025. Counter-Strike 2. Schedule 1. Marvel Rivals. PUBG Battlegrounds. CISA's cybersecurity alerts and advisories. CISA releases guidance on credential risks associated with potential legacy Oracle Cloud compromise. One more drop in the ocean of AI. Microsoft's BitNet B1.58-2B4T. BitNet B1.58-2B4T, the first open-source, native 1-bit large language model, LLM, at the 2 billion parameter scale, developed by Microsoft Research. Trained on a corpus of 4 trillion tokens, this model demonstrates that native 1-bit LLMs can achieve performance comparable to leading open-weight, full-precision models of similar size, while offering substantial advantages in computational efficiency, memory, energy latency. UBS trims smartphone, PC forecasts while India emerges as production winner. Nintendo Switch 2. Over 2 million applications for the My Nintendo Store lottery sale in Japan, far exceeding expectations. New smartphone labels for battery life and repairability are coming to the EU. On YouTube's 20th anniversary, the platform says over 20 trillion videos have been uploaded. EU fines Apple €500 million and Meta €200 million for breaking Europe's digital rules. Kotaku reports that Roblox has a community of players who recreate school shootings. Chinese Coast Guard claims sovereign jurisdiction of Sandy Cay in South China Sea. Kenyan president visits China as country pivots away from the U.S. China's military identifies U.S. and Japanese destroyers as enemy vessels. India's Delhi plans to curb gasoline car sales, ban gas-guzzling bikes to shed polluter tag. Advanced digital cockpits give Chinese EVs overwhelming advantage in Russia, vendors say, and Shanghai Auto Show. Japan carmakers embrace Chinese AI as Tesla awaits Beijing's nod on FSD. Waymo reports 250,000 paid robotaxi rides per week in U.S. Lockheed Martin plans supercharged F-35 to compete against Boeing F-47. China unveils drone-mounted quantum device for submarine detection in South China Sea. Japan unveils railgun that can shoot down China's hypersonic missiles. Indian Army kills 2 gunmen in Kashmir as manhunt intensifies after tourist massacre. And India closes main border crossing with Pakistan after Kashmir attack. India strikes back after Pahalgam attack. Indus Water Treaty suspended. Visas for Pak nationals cancelled. Previously, manhunt launched after 26 tourists killed by suspected militants in Kashmir. Pakistan closes airspace for Indian Airlines. Warns against water treaty violation as ties plummet. Any attempt to shut Indus River supply is an act of war. Pakistan warns India. Trump says Crimea will stay with Russia as he seeks end to war in Ukraine. And Trump says nobody is asking Ukraine to recognize Crimea as Russian, as Trump accuses Zelensky of harming Ukraine peace negotiations. Trump on Russia strikes on Kiev. Vladimir, stop. Kremlin ready to reach a deal with U.S. on Ukraine. Russia's Foreign Minister Lavrov. Axios reports that Trump's final offer for peace requires Ukraine to accept Russian occupation. Trump: Israel would be leader of Iran's strike if Tehran doesn't give up nuclear weapons program. Pentagon considering proposal to cut thousands of troops from Europe, officials say, and only Trump can decide on U.S. troop moves in Europe, U.S. Defense Secretary says. Iran arrests 4 state TV staff for insulting Sunni caliph in rare move. Tesla is testing robotaxi service with employees in Texas, California, and U.S. to loosen rules on self-driving vehicles criticized by Elon Musk. Jeff Bezos-backed Slate Auto wants to take on Tesla and Rivian with this $25,000 electric truck. Uber: Volkswagen pair up to launch robotaxi service in U.S. with self-driving, electric microbuses. China backs Iran holding nuclear talks with bullying U.S., says top diplomat Wang Yi. Pakistan finance minister says China and the U.S. are Islamabad's critical and strategic allies. Days before Canada's election, Trump says country would cease to exist if not for U.S. China: Russia may build nuclear plant on moon to power lunar station, official says. China launches Shenzhou, 20 spacecraft with superconductor tests, space debris defenses. Trump signs executive order boosting deep-sea mining industry. Trump lashes out at Rupert Murdoch over Fox News Trump-hating, fake pollster, after survey reveals record low approval ratings. Reportedly, Musk vs. Besant dispute erupted into West Wing shouting match. Trump Organization sells Trump 2028 hat and shirt, fueling questions about third-term bid. Trump dismisses raising taxes on the rich, because a lot of the millionaires would leave the country. Trump to target Democratic fundraising powerhouse Act Blue with DOJ probe. Harvard is relying on its billionaire alums as it faces down the White House, as Trump signs executive orders targeting colleges, plus schools' equity efforts. Trump orders truck import probe, setting stage for tariffs. Router maker TP-Link faces U.S. criminal antitrust investigation. Trump says he would sign bill banning congressional stock trades. In Texas, USA, Abbott signs first bill of session into law, creating a Texas Doge. California becomes world's 4th largest economy, surpassing Japan. The U.S. has spent over $500,000 on YouTube ads to discourage irregular migration. Apple charged with LGBT propaganda in Russia for rainbow flag wallpaper in latest update. In the U.S., DOJ will investigate doctors who provide trans care to minors, Attorney General says. Videos disparaging trans women aren't hate speech, Meta board says. Trump coin jumps 70% on president's dinner event for top token holders. U.S. bank regulators pull back guardrails on bank crypto activities. SEC drops plan to refile securities fraud case against Hex founder Richard Hart. Microscopic plastic levels far higher in those who suffer strokes, study finds. 1 in 3 Malaysian children are overweight as nation's sugar addiction worsens. Gen Z increasingly listens to peers over doctors for health advice. Trump says the U.S. and China are actively discussing tariffs. Beijing says that's false, and Trump denies China's claims about no trade talks, says they met this morning. As Trump says she called him, lays out trade and other deal plans in Time interview. Politico reports that she wants EU-China tag team to resist Trump's trade onslaught. SCMP reports that top Swiss envoy calls for coalition to meet U.S. tariff challenge during visit to China, and Swissinfo reports as Switzerland and China call for dialogue on tariffs. China should boost consumption to offset slowdown and trade war with U.S., IMF says. SCMP reports that China's wealthy are hoarding cash amid an uncertain economy, survey finds. Indeed reports that 51% of Gen Z views their college degree as a waste of money. Wall Street Journal reports that $1 trillion of wealth was created for the 19 richest U.S. households last year. Google Gemini has 350 monthly users, reveals court hearing, and OpenAI forecasts revenue topping $125 billion in 2029 as agents, new products gain. Yahoo is ready to buy Chrome browser if Google is forced to sell, and Google's Chrome worth $50 billion, DuckDuckGo CEO tells court. Microsoft's 2025 Work Trend Index report reveals the rise of the frontier firm, marking a new era of workforce dynamics, as you'll soon manage a team of AI agents, says Microsoft's Work Trend report. Meta rolls out live translations to all Ray-Ban smart glasses users. Apple to strip secret robotics unit from AI chief weeks after moving Siri. Rakuten Mobile and AST Space Mobile successfully hold first-ever video call in Japan using low Earth orbit satellite and unmodified smartphones. China said to waive retaliatory tariffs on some U.S. chip imports in sign of trade war thaw. Multinationals vow big China investments, defying tariffs and bucking wait-and-see trend. Swiss leader says Trump administration foresees privileged talks with 15 countries on U.S. tariffs. Israel president says moral imperative to bring home Gaza hostages. And Israel acknowledges killing aid worker in strike after initially accusing UN of baseless slander. Jordan outlaws Muslim Brotherhood, confiscates assets and offices. Palestinian officials create vice president position under leader Mahmoud Abbas. Japan warns of hacked trading accounts. Nearly $700 million in unauthorized trades recorded. Nintendo is going after the leaker behind major Pokémon Terra leak. South Korea says DeepSeek transferred user data, prompts without consent. More than 21 million employee screenshots leaked from Work Composer workplace surveillance app. Android spyware, disguised as Alpine Quest app, targets Russian military devices. 4.7 million customers' data accidentally leaked to Google by Blue Shield of California. Russia's central bank, finance ministry to launch crypto exchange. Coinbase calls for the end of the war on staking. Wall Street Journal reports that World Economic Forum opens new probe into founder Klaus Schwab. China tells U.S. to cancel all unilateral tariffs if it wants talks. Pepsi and Mountain Dew depend on imports. PepsiCo says tariffs will hurt earnings, and China cancels 12,000 metric tons of U.S. pork shipments. UK won't rush to reach trade deal with U.S., Finance Minister Reeves says. Apple's efforts to shift iPhone production out of China are being met with massive obstacles. Authorities are blocking suppliers' equipment shipments to other countries, as Apple aims to source all U.S. iPhones from India in pivot away from China. European Commission bans lobbyists vouching for Huawei amid corruption probe. ByteDance, Alibaba and Tencent stockpile billions worth of Nvidia chips. Carnivorous bone collector caterpillars wear corpses as camouflage. Wild bonobos study reveals that females team up to maintain power in their societies. Giant kangaroos weight at 375 pounds, and limited roaming likely led to their extinction. Mashable, PC Mag owner sues OpenAI, alleging stolen content. Character.ai unveils AvatarFX, an AI video model to create lifelike chatbots. AI secretly helped write California bar exam, sparking uproar. Internet Watch Foundation raises alarm over surge in level of child sexual abuse imagery hosted in EU, as 62% of all child sexual abuse web pages found by IWF in 2024 were traced to the Netherlands. Wall Street Journal reports that Paramount in talks with FCC over diversity policy concessions for merger. Oscar voters actually need to watch the nominated movies now. AI outsmarts virus experts in the lab, raising biohazard fears. Damage from gut bacteria may play a role in the rise in colon cancer in young adults. Mysterious Antikythera mechanism may actually be a toy, study says. BBC launches satellite news channel in Myanmar after Trump silences VOA. Hanoi denies Washington will snub Vietnam War commemoration. 1 day ago, New York Times reported that U.S. tells its diplomats in Vietnam to avoid war anniversary events. Hegseth threatened polygraph test over leak of classified briefing for Musk. Wall Street Journal. Science magazine reports that NSF director to resign amid grant terminations, job cuts, and controversy. Poll shows more Trump voters see autism vaccine link than general public. USDA withdraws a plan to limit salmonella levels in raw poultry. Charlie Chaplin's Gold Rush, getting 4K restoration that will bow in Cannes and release globally 100 years today of film's 1925 premiere. GTA 5 is Twitch's most watched game of 2024. Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos says movie theater model is outdated. Most of the country cannot walk to a multiplex. Rwandan genocide leader living in exclusive New York enclave arrested for alleged immigration violations. French PM calls for crackdown on knife crime after fatal high school stabbing. As student stabs 4 others, one fatally, at a French high school, officials say. In the U.S., alleged former members of neo-Nazi group claim its leader is Russian spy. 20 days ago, The Guardian reported as U.S. neo-Nazi group with Russia-based leader calls for targeted Ukraine attacks.
Crypto, politics, tech, and more. Get your daily news fix with NewsSource Scrawlers April 23, 2025 edition. Number 1 hit and more. YouTube music charts, global top songs April 11 to April 17, 2025. Die with a Smile, Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars. APT, Rose and Bruno Mars. El Mayor de los Ranas, Victor Valverde and J.R. Torres. Paso Bame Solto, Slowed, ATLXS. Spotify Weekly Top Songs Global. From the Friday, April 11 to Thursday, April 17, 2025. Die with a Smile, Lady Gaga, Bruno Mars. Birds of a Feather. Billie Eilish. Ordinary, Alex Warren. APT, Rose, Bruno Mars. Nintendo US Digital Bestsellers, from April 21, 2025. Minecraft. Hades. NBA 2K25. Overcooked. 2. Steam's hottest games. Global top-selling and top-played games across Steam. From the top 100 products by revenue list, for Tuesday, April 1, 2025 to Tuesday, April 8, 2025. Counter-Strike 2. Schedule 1. Marvel Rivals. PUBG, Battlegrounds. CISA's cybersecurity alerts and advisories. CISA releases guidance on credential risks associated with potential legacy Oracle cloud compromise. One more drop in the ocean of AI. Microsoft's BitNet B1.58-2B4T, BitNet B1.58-2B4T, the first open-source, native 1-bit large language model, LLM, at the 2 billion parameter scale, developed by Microsoft Research. Trained on a corpus of 4 trillion tokens, this model demonstrates that native 1-bit LLMs can achieve performance comparable to leading open-weight, full-precision models of similar size, while offering substantial advantages in computational efficiency, memory, energy, latency. China rolls out plan to promote its own payment system as U.S. trade war simmers. Musk says Tesla's Optimus humanoid robots affected by China's export curbs on rare earths. China's CATL claims to beat BYD's EV battery record with longer range on a 5-minute charge. Business of Fashion reports that Chanel signs Kendrick Lamar as brand ambassador. Fusion and Fire, Anna Zhang becomes first Chinese winner of MasterChef Italia with bold cultural blend. BBC announces new documentary, P. Diddy, The Rise and Fall for BBC Three and iPlayer. Putin proposes direct peace talks with Ukraine, says he is open to more ceasefires, and Vladimir Putin offers to halt Ukraine invasion along current front line. Zelensky rules out recognizing Crimea as Russian, warns against playing into Putin's game. Crimean Tatar Mejlis rejects any international recognition of Crimea as Russian, chairman says, and EU diplomacy chief warns US against recognizing Crimea as Russian territory. Vance issues Ukraine ultimatum after Rubio snubs key London meeting. Bloomberg issues travel warning to staff. Mexico bans foreign propaganda after U.S. anti-migrant ad, and Mexico asks TV stations to pull discriminatory U.S. anti-immigration ad. NPR reports as the White House is looking to replace Pete Hegseth as defense secretary, and White House responds to NPR report on search for Hegseth replacement, fake news. Axios reports that Anthropic warns fully AI employees are a year away. At trial, Instagram co-founder says Meta denied his company resources. OpenAI would buy Google's Chrome browser, ChatGPT chief says, as Justice Department asks judge to thaw Google's search monopoly by forcing Chrome sale. SK Telecom reports hacking incident involving partial leak of user USIM data. Google Chrome will now continue to use third-party cookies. Washington Post reports that, in the U.S., sensitive documents, including White House floor plans, improperly shared with thousands. LG Electronics to exit EV charger business amid global demand slowdown. Xiaomi delays release of first SUV after fatal road accident. Chinese EV makers take spotlight as Tesla skips Shanghai Auto Show for third time. Malaysia eyes Africa for trade expansion as Trump's tariffs loom. White House is close on Japan, India tariff agreements, but expect them to be light on specifics. Chinese freight ship traffic to busiest U.S. ports, Los Angeles, Long Beach, sees steep drop. WD launches HDD recycling process that reclaims rare earth elements, cuts out China. Walmart is ditching zip codes in favor of honeycomb-style maps as it looks to speed up deliveries. Korea to build biggest ever offshore wind power cluster by 2033, Ministry. More than 100 public software companies are getting squeezed by AI, a new study finds. In the U.S., draft executive order outlines plan to integrate AI into K-12 schools. Columbia student kicked out for creating AI to cheat, raises millions to turn it into a startup. Starmer does not believe trans women are women, number 10 says, and trans women should use male toilets, Equalities Minister says. Wild chimpanzees share fermented fruits. California is about to run out of license plate numbers. Boeing to sell parts of aviation software unit to Thoma Bravo for $10.5 billion. China adds nearly 2 million private firms in first quarter as calls for support rise. China invites European countries to form united front against Trump tariffs. Malaysia's plan to teach Thai, Khmer, and Vietnamese in schools sparks parental backlash. 2 days ago, Minister Fedlina, Malaysia to teach Thai, Khmer, and Vietnamese as elective languages in schools to boost ASEAN ties. 3 prosecutors in corruption case against NYC Mayor Eric Adams resign, and Trump administration extends deadline for NYC to end congestion pricing, as feds threaten NYC highway money if MTA doesn't shut down congestion pricing. 60 Minutes chief resigns in emotional meeting, the company is done with me. Semaphore reports that Paramount's owner Sherry Redstone kept tabs on 60 Minutes segments on Trump. Day or two per week, Musk promises decreased time at Doge as Tesla profits plummet. IMF slashes GDP growth estimates for China, US and world as trade tensions rise. Counterpoint announced that global PC shipments up 6.7% YOY in Q1 2025 amid US tariff anticipation. Intel to announce plans this week to cut over 20% of staff. Apple drops available now from Apple Intelligence page. Reuters report that Huawei readies new AI chip for mass shipment as China seeks Nvidia alternatives, sources say. Nvidia supplier SK Hynix unseats Samsung as world's drum chip leader on AI boost. Bloomberg reports that Google paid Samsung enormous sums for Gemini AI app installs. Films made with AI can win Oscars, Academy says. Washington Post teams up with OpenAI to enhance news access via ChatGPT. China and Egypt unleash historic joint air drills, shaking up Middle East strategic balance, and China's KJ-500 radar aircraft overseas for first time in joint drill with Egypt. 7,000-mile range U.S. spy drone gets deadly laser weapon to melt missiles mid-air. Stay away from Chinese satellite services, U.S. advises allies in leaked memo. Vance and Modi meet in New Delhi to discuss trade deal and avoid U.S. tariffs. Financial Times reports that India under tariff pressure to give Amazon and Walmart's Flipkart full market access. We have been able to meet some needs of Saudi Arabian armed forces. PM Modi pitches for enhanced defense engagement with Saudi Arabia, and Saudi Prince Mohammed bin Salman talks of $100 billion investment, shares India's concerns on terrorism, as India's Modi to meet Saudi Crown Prince to talk trade, oil. India to put 12% temporary tariff on steel to curb cheap China imports, source says. ARK Invest funds become first U.S. ETFs to add exposure to Solana through 3iQ's staking ETF. Mantra to burn $160 million OM tokens, 50% from Dow's founder, following 90% price crash. XRP Ledger Foundation discloses serious vulnerability in recently updated version of XRPL JavaScript library. In the U.S., student loans in default to be referred to debt collection, Education Department says. Zuckerberg-funded school for low-income families in Silicon Valley to shut down. LA Mayor Karen Bass budget calls for over 1,600 city workers to be laid off. SEC Chair Atkins, top priority is to have firm foundation for digital assets. Crypto casino takings top $80 billion as gamblers bypass blocks. Circle plans stablecoin-powered cross-border payment network, as crypto firms chase bank charters as Circle launches stablecoin orchestration layer. Washington Post reports that Trump's inner Circle weighs push for higher taxes on millionaires. In the U.S., former Treasury Secretary Summers says Trump attack on IRS risks $1 trillion revenue hit. Wall Street Journal comments as, Trump is laying the groundwork to blame Powell for any downturn. Recently, Trump says he has no intention of firing Fed boss. Cristiano Ronaldo's Al Nassr hunt Asian Champions League glory as Saudi Arabia hosts finals. Andre Agassi to play at the U.S. Open Pickleball Championships. Warner Brothers Discovery starts max password sharing crackdown. In the U.S., Treasury targets Iranian liquefied petroleum gas magnate with sanctions. Members of UK's largest Jewish body condemn Israel's offensive in Gaza. Israel ends mention of humanitarian zones as Gaza war grinds on. Trump hosts corporate-sponsored Easter egg roll, "We're bringing religion back," and in the U.S., Veterans Affairs Agency orders staff to report each other for anti-Christian bias. Mississippi governor declares April 2025 as Confederate Heritage Month. Trump backs $5,000 baby bonus for new moms in bid to reverse declining birth rate. Sounds like a good idea. Mother Jones comments as, Trump may soon offer a motherhood medal, an idea popularized in Nazi Germany. In the U.S., Rubio unveils a massive overhaul of the State Department that would cut staff and bureaus, as state to slash 15% of domestic staff, eliminate 132 offices. Over 150 college presidents sign letter rebuking Trump administration overreach. In the U.S., RFK Jr.'s autism study to amass medical records of many Americans, as RFK Jr. set to launch disease registry tracking autistic people. RFK Jr. unveils plan to phase out 8 artificial food dyes in the U.S. Death rate from cancer has steadily fallen in the U.S., report shows. Pew announces that, in the U.S. 48% of teens say social media harms people their age, up from 32% in 2022. Police rescue 33 West Africans from a human trafficking scam in Ivory Coast. Haiti nearing point of no return amid gang violence, UN representative warns. UN says Asian scam call center epidemic expanding globally amid political heat. U.S. sets up to 3,521% tariff on import of Southeast Asian solar panels, and reportedly China's solar panel makers explore options as Washington sets tariffs for Southeast Asia. Roche to invest $50 billion in U.S. to avoid Trump tariffs, create 12,000 jobs. U.S. Treasury chief says that tariff war with China is unsustainable and he expects it to ease, as Besson says he expects de-escalation in U.S.-China tariff fight in the very near future. Trump says tariff on China will come down substantially from 145%. China sends back new Boeing jet made more expensive by tariffs.
Crypto, politics, tech, and more. Get your daily news fix with News Source Scrawlers April 21, 2025 edition. Number 1 hit and more. YouTube music charts. Global top songs April 11 to April 17, 2025. Die with a Smile. Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars.
APT, Rosé y Bruno Mars. El mayor de los ranas, Víctor Valverde y J.R. Torres.
Passo Bem Solto, Slovid, Atos. Spotify Weekly Top Songs Global. From the Friday, April 11 to Thursday, April 17, 2025. Die with a Smile Lady Gaga Bruno Mars. Birds of a Feather. Billie Eilish. Ordinary. Alex Warren.
APT, Rosé, Bruno Mars.
Nintendo US Digital Bestsellers, from April 21, 2025. Minecraft. Hades.
NBA2K25.
Overcooked. 2. Steam's hottest games. Global top-selling and top-played games across Steam. From the top 100 products by revenue list, for Tuesday, April 1, 2025 to Tuesday, April 8, 2025. Counter-Strike 2. Schedule 1. Marvel Rivals. PUBG Battlegrounds. CISA's cybersecurity alerts and advisories. CISA releases guidance on credential risks associated with potential legacy Oracle Cloud compromise. One more drop in the ocean of AI. Microsoft's BitNet B1.58-2B4T. BitNet B1.58-2B4T. The first open-source, native 1-bit large language model, LLM, at the 2 billion parameter scale, developed by Microsoft Research. Trained on a corpus of 4 trillion tokens, this model demonstrates that native 1-bit LLMs can achieve performance comparable to leading open-weight, full-precision models of similar size, while offering substantial advantages in computational efficiency, memory, energy latency. Major rice producers have world's worst heavy metal pollution, Chinese scientists warn, and climate change will make rice toxic, say researchers. Toothpaste widely contaminated with lead and other metals, U.S. research finds. Project to suck carbon out of sea begins in UK. China establishes world's first 3-satellite constellation in the Earth-Moon region of space. Chinese robots ran against humans in the world's first humanoid half-marathon. They lost by a mile. China develops powerful non-nuclear hydrogen explosive with military potential for precision thermal strikes. Ukraine bans China's firms for helping Russia make missiles. China denies Zelensky's charge that it provides Russia with weapons. 1 day ago, China is supplying weapons to Russia, Zelensky says. Trump administration ready to recognize Russian control of Crimea as part of framework to end Ukraine war. Source says, as U.S. offers to ease sanctions on Russia in Ukraine peace proposal. Trump White House replaces COVID website with treatise on lab leak theory. AOC instructs staff to sideline all new transgender discrimination cases, employees say. Trump officials blame mistake for setting off confrontation with Harvard, as Wall Street Journal reports that Trump administration irate at Harvard plans to pull additional $1 billion in funding. Sam Altman admits that saying please and thank you to ChatGPT is wasting millions of dollars in computing power, and OpenAI's new reasoning AI models hallucinate more. 3 days ago, OpenAI unveils technology that can reason with images. Gen AI investment can spur co-working potential in financial industry, Moody's says. Wikipedia is giving AI developers its data to fend off bot scrapers. Anti-spying phone pouches offered to EU lawmakers for trip to Hungary. Texas House approves creation of new state cybersecurity command at UTSA. Phishers abuse Google OAuth to spoof Google in DKIM replay attack. DHL to suspend global shipments of over $800 to U.S. consumers. Ford halts shipments of vehicles to China amid tariffs. SCMP comments as, U.S. tariff threats open door to a Make in India moment. 1 month ago, Reuters reported as, India eyes tariff cut on more than half of U.S. imports to shield its exports, sources say. Massive 366% chip shipment surge to Malaysia amid increased NVIDIA AI GPU smuggling curbs, ahead of looming sectoral tariffs. U.S. chipmakers fear they are ceding China's AI market to Huawei. Huawei introduces the Ascend 920 AI chip to fill the void left by NVIDIA's H20. China to host Indonesia for top-level diplomacy. Defense talks and pivot to Southeast Asia. Resist protectionism. China she tells Cambodia as Phnom Penh seeks loans. As China's leader ends Southeast Asia tour touting Beijing's reliability versus U.S. tariff threats. China's PLA invited to Vietnam military parade, as both sides pledge closer defense ties. Vietnam PM hails unique bond with U.S. days after hosting Xi. Israeli researchers use gene editing to eliminate 50% of head, neck tumors in mice. New water microcleaners self-disperse, capture microplastics and float up for removal. Menstrual cycles don't affect women's cognitive abilities, study finds. Tesla Cybertruck is in crisis. New discounts and throttling down production. Subaru is bringing back physical knobs and buttons in its cars. In the U.S., Sam's Club axes self-checkouts nationwide. Add Scan and Go. As Sam's Club's 600 location remodel will eliminate cashiers. Nepal's parliamentary subpanel finds billions of rupees embezzled during construction of China-funded Pokhara International Airport. Bybit CEO says nearly 28% of $1.4 billion hacked crypto gone dark. Move to P2P and OTC. Oregon targets Coinbase after SEC drops its federal lawsuit. Iran seeks guarantees U.S. won't leave nuclear pact again. U.S. anti-ship missiles deployed to Philippine Islands south of Taiwan for first time. China vows to hit back at U.S. new discriminatory port fees. 2 days ago, United States eases port fees on China-built ships after industry backlash. Carbonates identified by the Curiosity rover indicate a carbon cycle operated on ancient Mars, as Curiosity rover finds large carbon deposits on Mars. Scientists stumble across rare evidence that Earth is peeling underneath the Sierra Nevada. Skin injury may bring on food allergies, as skin damage signals mediate allergic sensitization to spatially unlinked antigen. Indian students rethink U.S. plans. Education loan firms panic as inquiries drop by 50%. In the U.S., over 9 million student loan borrowers past due after bills restarted, Fed estimates. Teen Vogue comments as FSU shooter shows radicalized white men are the threats to college campuses, not student protesters. 3 days ago it has been reported as in Florida state shooting. 2 dead, sheriff's deputy's son in custody. Pakistani authorities arrest over 170 for anti-US, anti-Israel attacks on KFC stores. Sex tourists flock to Japan's red light area, lured by weak yen social media videos. Colombia declares health emergency after dozens die of yellow fever. China sanctions U.S. Congress members, officials and others who behaved badly on Hong Kong. Boeing begins flying back planes refused by Chinese airlines, and China halted orders for U.S. soybeans and corn before tariff escalation. China vows retaliation against countries that follow U.S. calls to isolate Beijing. It has been commented as, in the U.S., Christmas is in the crosshairs as toy industry faces brunt of China tariffs. Wall Street Journal reports that EU delayed punishing Apple, Meta just before trade talks started. Carney pledges tax cuts, defense spending in Canada election platform. El Salvador's president offers Maduro U.S. deported Venezuelans for prisoner swap. Border crossings grind to halt as Trump's tough policies take hold. New York Times comments as the Trump administration is disappearing people like the Soviet Union. Washington Post comments as Trump claims unfettered presidential power on immigration. Wired reports that DOJ is building a master database to surveil and track immigrants. Trump administration orders Gaza-linked social media vetting for visa applicants. Hegseth said to have shared attack details in Second Signal chat. Former Pentagon official warns department's dysfunction could topple Hegseth, and 3 Hegseth aides ousted in leak investigation decry baseless attacks. Rubio denies that Trump will politicize the Foreign Service and slash embassies. Recently, Trump reportedly drafted an executive order for a disciplined reorganization of the State Department that would shut down embassies and cut climate change and refugee offices. The Guardian comments as RFK's statements prove autistic people and their families everywhere should fear Trump and his allies. 5 days ago, Kennedy calls autism preventable, drawing ire from researchers. Ted Sarandos responds to James Cameron's vision of AI making movies cheaper. There's an even bigger opportunity to make movies 10% better. Netflix sees potential for video podcasts, more creator content on platform. Number of UK consumers streaming sports illegally has gone through the roof, police say. Pope Francis has died, Vatican says in video statement, and Syria postpones games after Pope Francis dies aged 88. Doge visits National Gallery of Art to discuss museum's legal status. Trump is replacing the acting IRS commissioner, part of a dispute between Treasury and Elon Musk. California announces plans to relax protections for wolves as population grows. Billionaire collector Thomas Kaplan to sell Rembrandt lion drawing to raise funds for wildlife conservation. Seagate claims